Happy Sunday and happy upcoming New Year, my Move the Chains audience. We are back. New edition, Super Sunday edition of this Move the Chains podcast. How are we doing? Hope we're doing well. Saw some triple headers yesterday. I had to touch on yesterday. My Raiders are up 13-10. I don't know why we're winning, but I'm okay with winning, I guess. I don't know. I'm just kind of done with this season already. I wish it was over. Draft time needs to come soon enough. I'm recording this. They're up 13-10 at halftime. We'll see if they can continue that and continue to win that game. We shall see. They've been dominant, but too much stupid shit with the Raiders. So I watched 3 games yesterday. I was kind of snipping back between the 3 that were going on. Then this morning I kind of did like a 30-minute session of just breaking down the games and stuff. And I just had my takes on it. So I wanted to start off with the first one. Chargers, New Patriots yesterday as I went and my picks this week. That was one of my favorites in terms of the matchups, in terms of intrigue. Drake May, Justin Herbert, 2 quarterbacks coming both out that had some physical tools, but were raw a little bit and some question marks. So yesterday I watched the Chargers team that just dismantled this New England team. They are bad. I mean, this is bad news Bears times 5, okay? And I was thinking about this morning when I was at the gym and I was getting on here, is that I just, to me, when I watch the Chargers, I'm so happy for Justin Herbert. He finally got his coach. He finally got somebody that could believe in him and get this train on the tracks. Because I've known this for years. He's got talent. I've said before, I think he's Matt Stafford of the AFC. All these numbers, Chargers are kind of weird in terms of organizationally, not in terms of Detroit, how bad they were under Matt Millen, but just kind of that like slipping the banana peel kind of vibe. So then I started thinking, okay, well, what else do we got? So then they get Jim Harbaugh. They get it right. They get the coach right. This is what happens in this league. You get the coach quarterback right, superstar, now rocket ship goes, depending on what happens. But I'm watching this, and this defense is flying around, the same defense that had the same players last year that we don't know about. And now look at them. They're playoffs a year later. Imagine that. Oh, imagine that. You get the coach right, everything else follows, and you get the quarterback right. So they got both those components. Now, how far will this team go? I'm not sure. I know they're in the playoffs to get the 6th seed. Denver got the 7th, even though they lost last night. I'll get to them in a second. But now there's some momentum going with the Chargers going into the playoffs. Derwin James, stud. I've loved him ever since he came out of Florida State. I've been on the record. He's just one of the best safeties in football. He's elite at his job. They move him around so much. He's got 5.5 sacks on the year. He's very a Rodney Harrison kind of type player in terms of, he could probably end his career with 30 interceptions or 20. I think it was 30 interceptions, 30 sacks for a safety, which is rare. Rondé Barber's the only one I think for Tampa Bay that's in the Hall of Fame. Gold jacket that's gotten that eclipse. So I feel like he's on that trajectory and that arc to do that. But this team is just completely selfless. They don't care about the status. They are a tough football team. The only time I've seen the Chargers get absolutely mollywopped and curb stomped was the Tampa Bay game, which no fault of their own. Tampa Bay's really a football team. They're keeping it close with Carolina right now. So I'm not mad with the Chargers. Listen, I hope the Raiders can get this ship right because now I'm looking at it going, you got an uphill battle. Herbert, this is the worst team Herbert's going to have. Now you get some momentum going into the offseason. We'll see how far they go in the playoffs. We don't know matchups and all that in particular. We shall see what happens, who they play in the playoffs. But I'm just amazed. And Chargers, hats off to them. This organization deserves it. They had the balls to go get a big-time coach. After all these years of retreads and Norv Turners and those kind of coaches, they finally got it grown up, and they finally got some momentum going. So that was on my Chargers take. The Patriot take, I just got to say this. This is a bad football team. I pull for Drake May. I'm rooting for him. I did have this concern when he came out of college, went to the Patriots. He's going to have some struggles, and it's a shit show there. Okay, you got the son and the owner going at it. It's weird. And then you got, Gerard Mayo. I don't know if he's it or not. It kind of reminds me of Antonio Pierce. Like, he was a player, toughness, great, all that stuff. But I don't know if he may be in over his head as head coach, which happens. I get it. Trying to replace Bill Belichick. It is what it is. They just don't have a lot of pieces right now for Drake May to work with. Now, Drake May can move. He's accurate. He's athletic. All that stuff. Hard-working kid, all this. No baggage off the field. You're encouraged by him if you're a Patriots fan. But you got to look at this organization as a whole and go, we got to figure out where to get talent because they're not getting it. I mean, they can't find anybody. And, listen, I think they have pieces in place in New England. I like their tight end. I like their running back. But the cupboard's pretty bare, man. You better go out and go get some pieces in the offseason. Maybe go get a T. Higgins. Maybe go get somebody that can make a difference. Get some juice on offense to make Drake May work. Because this is your future right now. You got to make this thing work with Drake May. Because I don't know if you'll get another shot at getting another quarterback like this. He's shown me promise. He kept it up with Josh Allen last week in Buffalo. Scored 21 points, which is rare for the Patriots because they've been struggling all year with getting points. I don't know what the game plan was. But I feel like there's some momentum going with New England into the offseason. And that was just embarrassing yesterday for the Patriots. For a franchise that's just fallen on hard times lately, I get it. They had the Brady run, then Belichick. And then Belichick kind of near the end was just Belichick got in his own fucking way. And so now you're kind of back at the drawing board. And I'm curious what's going to happen in the draft, but keep your eyes out in New England. I don't know if they'll trade back or not. I'm not sure. But I think that, I think that they can get this thing right. And I just think New England's going to be fine. I think they got to get some more pieces on offense, get this thing right, get the offensive line right, get the offensive skill players right, and get some run game and help Drake May out. So that's my takeaway for both those games. Chargers playoffs, just to recap, and then I've got New England. They're making some help, but they need to get Drake May help. They need to. That's the offseason plan, okay? The second game I want to get to was Broncos, Bengals. My brother and my dad are there. They're on their way home right now. It's such a gut wrench for Denver, but positive side of it, you're in the playoffs, you're in the 7th seed, keep it up. You got to try and win more games, so get some better, knock the Bengals and all those teams out. But I will say this about the Broncos. They found their guy in Bo Nix. I think they have. I think they found their, I had some toothpaste on my shirt here. I think they found their guy in Bo Nix. Can he be a long-term Super Bowl winning quarterback? Who knows? But I will say this, if you get to the playoffs next couple years with Bo Nix, you're in good shape. And then you can get this roster. Once you're out of this Russell Wilson cap hell, you can be able to get this roster going. Because I think this is the worst one that he's had. They've got weapons. They got Sean Payton as a good offensive coach. Maybe a prick sometimes to me, but it is what it is. I don't want to get all in my feels here. But I think there's something going in Denver. And it's just hard to stop Joe Burrow when he's cooking like they were yesterday. And I'll get to the Bengals in a second. I think the Broncos are in good shape. Their future looks bright. So keep your head up if you're a Bronco fan. I know it's hard this morning when you lost. I wasn't rooting, but, I was kind of back and forth, like pulling for Denver, kind of pulling for Cincinnati because I like kind of the quarterbacks of those teams. And just a great game last night. The NFL remains king in terms of ratings. And you get me on a Saturday, you get me on a Sunday watching football. Yeah, you're getting me glued. So it was just a great game yesterday. And I want to flip it over to the Bengals. Why the hell is this taking so long? I mean, the last couple of years, they just kind of kick it around early in the year, kind of Patriot light, and then they turn it on. Joe Burrow's just incredible. I mean, I don't know what else he could do this year. He's balling. He would get MVP votes if his team was a little better. But I'm just impressed with Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty, kind of Tony Romo, poor man. Just you hope that they get a better offensive line for him, and you hope that they just keep building this team. Because their offensive line just keeps getting away with it. But I've seen Joe Burrow just take a lot of sacks and a lot of hits, man. And I'm worried it's going to be like Tony Romo near the end where it's too little too late. The hits have been taken on him. So, but just an impressive performance yesterday by Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase, shout out to you. You got me a bunch of points in my fantasy league. I'm so glad I picked you up this year. He's one of the best receivers in football. A little mouthy for my take. I wish he would be a little bit more quiet. But when his head's right and him and Joe Burrow are clicking, it's hard to stop, man. So for the Bengals, listen, it's a good win. Good win for the Bengals. Devastating loss for the Broncos, but the Broncos' future is bright. And I just think, with the Bengals, you just got to hope and pray that God help us that you get in. So we'll see what happens. The last game I wanted to touch on, it was one of my against the spread blazing 3 picks. It was the last game of the night, was Cardinals, Rams in LA, and what a snore fest that was last night. I can't figure out either of these teams, if I'm being frankly. I'm going to start with the Rams first. Listen, the Rams did win, and I credit Sean McVay a lot for being a really good, well-coached football team, because they are. And they got studs everywhere. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, those 2 Florida State teammates, balling this year. Kobe Turner. Listen, in the offseason, it was hard to replace Aaron Donald. He's one of the best players of all time. No debates. One of the best D linemen that I've ever seen. Chris Jones has obviously taken that mantle from Aaron Donald because it was always those two going at it when they were playing. But I will say this right now with the Rams. I think they're one and done in the playoffs. I was thinking about this driving home today. They probably get the They'd be the 3rd seed, and they get a home game because they're going to win the division, I believe. They'll probably beat Seattle next week. It'll be tight and all that, but we'll see on that. But I will say, though, from the Rams standpoint, I'm curious why the fuck it takes them this long to get going on offense. They sputter. They got their line back. They got the receivers back, Puka, Kupp. They got Kyron Williams. Their offensive line's healthy. Stafford's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's been prolific in his career. I just sometimes don't know what's going on. I get these division games. Maybe that's probably why Arizona's seen them so many times on the game tape and cross tape. But we'll see. I mean, I still think they make the playoffs and they still get in. But it's going to be a hard matchup for them if they play the Packers or they play the Vikings. Now, they could get the Vikings. Vikings could beat them again, get that rematch because Rams did beat them first time on Thursday Night Football, one of the better games of the year in L.A. So we'll see what happens. I think Green Bay, if they could play the Rams, that would be the best shot because this team, Green Bay, can play on a fast track in a dome and with the weaponry that they have. They can obviously do it in Green Bay, and we've seen that. But I feel like they're more conditioned to a dome-type atmosphere where they can get that fast track on the turf. Let's go. So, to recap the Rams, Rams still a playoff team. Congrats. Got some reservations, though, in terms of starting slow with this team. But we'll see. We shall see what happens. And I want to flip over to Arizona. Why are we so sold on Kyler Murray? Can we just be done? I'm out, man. I've been done for a while. This guy is not it. I talked to my cousin Phil Sexton last weekend. You lost to Carolina when you shouldn't have lost to Carolina. That's on you. And Kyler does some dumb shit, man. He's been playing like shit for the last, I feel like, couple of weeks. Thrown 9 picks, it feels like. And he just sucks. And he's mini. And I've heard this from scouts and I've heard this from personnel people. You get him moving like this instead of that beep beep shit, game over, you win. And I'm telling you, man, he's Mayor of Munchkinland. And his body language, his attitude sucks. I'm so sick of that shit. And, you know, the Dan Patrick interview still makes me mad to this day. I hate being petty because we're guys we're not supposed to be, but God, it just drives me nuts. Got very Jay Cutler vibes. And I just don't know. You're wasting this time because you've had him for 6 years. They've missed the playoffs 5. Some of that is his fault. Is his fault? I don't know. But he's been hurt a couple times. You know, when he comes back, he's a great player, but he's just an enigma to me. I scratch my head like, why is this not consistent enough? But when you get this as a quarterback and you're Moody's all the time, like Cam Newton when he was in Carolina, this is what you get. Inconsistencies and all that, because I still don't know why the hell they're not getting Marvin Harrison the ball. I know he's had a decent rookie year, 7 touchdowns, almost close to 1,000 yards. He's been productive, but you got to get him the ball. Get him the ball. Feed him. I'm not saying like pick and stick kind, but you got to feed your beast, man. The Raiders do it with Brock Bowers. The Bengals do it with Jamar Chase. You got to feed these guys. So I just don't know. Arizona's got some question marks to me. Because this team right now, offensively, has got some players I like. I love James Conner. He's a badass at running back. Beat cancer. Thank you. You got Marvin Harrison I just mentioned. You got that Dooch kid. Trey McBride's a stud. Looks like George Kittle light. You got pieces on offense. Your offensive line's okay. Not great. You can always improve in that. No question. So I just feel like, and I thought Monty Ossenfort, the general manager of the Cardinals, has done a nice job building this team. They had some, Steve Keim did a great job with Arizona. When they had Bruce Arians, they were competitive. But, they handled some rough times with Cliff, and they did okay. But I think they found their coach in Jonathan Gannon. Their defense is kind of leaky, though. It was better yesterday again than it was against Carolina. But quite interesting times out in Scottsdale in Phoenix, Arizona for the Cardinals. So to recap that game, Cardinals, question marks on the at the quarterback position and some other stuff. And then the Rams, good job, playoffs. This was supposed to be a rebuild year last year. You made the playoffs, snuck in. It's supposed to be a rebuild. You were 1-4 this year, dug yourself out of that hole, and got in the playoffs. So credit to Sean McVay and credit to the staff of the Rams. That's all I wanted to get on here to talk about today. Stay tuned throughout the week. We got college football games. We got NFL games going on. It's a great time of year, and the new year kicks in 2025. Woo! Let's go. Happy New Year, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Hit the like, subscribe, share button, and stay tuned throughout the weekend. Throughout the week, I got more content coming. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great Sunday.